Inside the royal family, there is breaking news. Prince is involved in a significant change that is taking place right in front of us. The future King George. Prince Harry, who was formerly praised for being the light-hearted uncle who made the youngest royals giggle, has been totally replaced. Mike Tindall, a former rugby player who is married to Zara Tindall, is the guy filling those shoes. This is where things start to become very interesting, though. There is increasing conjecture that King Charles would formally award Mike a title that would make this change permanent in order to cement his position within the royal family. This is no longer limited to family dynamics. This has to do with who gets to mold the next generation of royals and the future of the monarchy. Make sure to hit the notification bell and subscribe to Royals Explored if you want to keep up with every development in this royal drama. You don't want to miss what's about to happen next, we promise. So let's dissect this situation. Prince Harry was the royal family's uncontested fun uncle for many years. It was him who went to the floor to play with Louis, Charlotte, and George. He was the one who made them laugh, infused family get-togethers with vitality and spontaneity, and demonstrated to them that being a royal did not preclude having fun. One of the positive aspects of an otherwise complex family dynamic was his relationship with William's kids. However, things changed in 2020 when Harry and Meghan relocated to California. Harry's isolation from his niece and nephews became more than just geographical. It finally became relational, emotional, and long-lasting. Harry was no longer a regular in their life. Instead, they only saw him during video conversations, if at all. The entertaining uncle who used to arrive at family gatherings with games and jokes turned into an uncle who lived thousands of miles away and hardly paid visits. And a Hoover is hated by nature. Someone had to fill that position after Harry left it vacant. Mike Tindall comes in. Although Mike is not a working royal, he is a member of the extended royal family because he is married to Princess Anne's daughter, Zara Tindall. He is a grounded man who has successfully navigated royal life without losing his sincerity. He was once the captain of England rugby. Additionally, Mike has totally replaced Harry in Prince George's life, according to body language expert Judy James. Judy revealed to Fabulous magazine that George has become especially reliant on Mike. She clarified that Mike had more than covered the enormous Harry-shaped void in the little boy's life left by George's original fun uncle. Harry's infamous flight to the United States. Those are powerful words. We're not discussing Mike as a suitable replacement. We're talking about Mike becoming a vital part of George's growth and totally filling the hole. However, that's not all. Judy went on to explain why Mike's presence is very important for George. Mike is the entertaining uncle that everyone needs, according to her. However, Mike's presence in Prince George's life is absolutely priceless because his destiny revolves around duty and responsible behavior. Consider the implications of that. At 11 years old, George has already planned out his whole future. One day, he will rule as king. For a child, that is a great load. He needs someone in his life who can teach him how to strike a balance between responsibility and spontaneity, duty and delight, and true human connection and royal procedure. It seems that Mike Tindall is that individual. He makes jokes with the royals, but he won't be disrespectful or judgmental. The final section is quite important and contrasts sharply with Harry's current state. Mike is able to interact with the children on their level, have fun, and be genuine, but he also understands the boundaries. He won't betray the confidence of the family. He will not inherit their secrets. He will not take advantage of his close relationship with the future king for his own benefit or to attract attention from the public. Remember to subscribe to Royals Explored if you share our fascination with this change. You'll want to stay tuned as we break down the important stories. Let's now discuss Harry's initial loss of this position. It's about trust, not simply geography. Harry disclosed humiliating details about royal life that many in the family found unacceptable when he published his memoir Spare and took part in the Netflix documentary series Harry and Meghan. He discussed personal hardships, family disputes, private chats, and private information that was never intended to be made public. He talked about his strained relationship with Prince William, revisited the trauma of Princess Diana's passing, and portrayed a picture of royal life that many found destructive at worst and unappealing at best. It says volumes that Buckingham Palace declined to comment on the discoveries in Harry's memoir at the time of its publication. Never complain, never explain is the guiding concept of the palace's operations. However, their silence did not indicate that they were not terribly disappointed, angry, or hurt. Additionally, William and Catherine are quite protective of Prince George. No matter how much fun he used to be, they will not grant unrestricted access to their children to someone who has demonstrated a willingness to discuss intimate family matters. Mike Tindall becomes even more crucial in this situation. Mike has spent several years with the royal family. Since being married to Zara in 2011, he has never once abused their confidence. Although he has worked in the media on his own, had appearances on podcasts and television programs, and even took part in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. He has always been cautious, considerate, and protective of the family. He tells stories and makes jokes, but he never goes too far in disclosing things that could be harmful or truly private. Harry, on the other hand, stands in stark contrast. Harry told more than just his own tale. He talked about other people's experiences, interactions, and vulnerabilities. He turned the suffering of his family into a public spectacle. Furthermore, it is almost tough to re-establish trust after it has been damaged, particularly when children are involved. The twist is as follows. There are now rumors that King Charles would formally propose to Mike Tindall, possibly giving him a title or a more formal position. When asked if he would accept a royal title, Mike recently responded in what has been called a vicious manner, indicating that he has previously considered this topic. His response's specifics imply that he isn't desperately looking for attention, but he isn't discounting it either if it fulfills a need. Why would Charles think about this? Charles needs trustworthy individuals since the monarchy is dwindling. Andrew was humiliated by Harry's departure, and there were fewer working royals to take on the responsibility. Charles is searching for methods to guarantee stability and continuity. Although Mike isn't now a working royal, if Charles determines that's what the family needs, he may become something more official. Additionally, it makes strategic sense given Mike's bond with George and his demonstrated devotion to the family. We have more to unpack, so stay with us. To ensure that you never miss these important updates, make sure you have a subscription to Royals Explored. Let's examine the consequences of this change. First of all, it further solidifies Harry's outsider status. He is not simply physically far away. In one of the roles that were most important to him, he has been effectively replaced. Harry enjoyed being the entertaining uncle. It was one of the rare times in his life as a prince that he felt free to be himself. One of the most agonizing effects of his decision to leave and then publicly speak out was likely losing that relationship with George, Charlotte, and Louis. Second, it demonstrates how the royal family is adjusting and progressing in Harry's absence. They are not attempting to hold a spot for him or waiting for him to return. They are creating new connections, reorganizing and bridging the gaps in order to adapt to their current situation. Mike Tindall's role as the entertaining uncle is not a short-term solution. This is the new standard. Third, Mike is under tremendous pressure to continue in this capacity and perform it effectively. One day, George will rule as king. Mike's current relationship with him may have an impact on George's future as a monarch. That is a big duty. Mike must serve as an example of how to strike the correct balance between obligation and enjoyment, discretion and authenticity, relatability and respect for tradition. Diverse viewpoints exist on this circumstance. Naturally, Harry's supporters would contend that he was wrongfully expelled and that the family ought to have done more to keep him in touch with his niece and nephews. They would argue that far than being a betrayal, Harry's candor in his memoir was courageous and essential. They might emphasize that genuine healing necessitates honesty and that family ties shouldn't be dependent on silence. On the other hand, Harry's detractors believe that this is a logical outcome of his decisions. He can't have it both ways, they contend. You cannot expect to have close access to the upcoming generation of royals while disclosing the family's personal lives to the public. They view Mike Tindall as a breath of fresh air, someone who demonstrates that it is possible to be personable, genuine, and enjoyable without destroying relationships or breaching trust. What comes next then? Whether it's a title or a more formal position, Charles's offering to Mike would be a significant indication of the monarchy's future. It would demonstrate that Charles values loyalty and discretion above all else. Additionally, it would be a means of guaranteeing George's network of support for the years to come. George is currently only 11 years old, but he will soon grow up to be a teenager, a young adult, and eventually assume additional royal duties. It could make all the difference to have someone like Mike by his side on that journey. Harry must be hurt by this development. From California, he watches while someone else develops a relationship with George similar to his own. He sees pictures of Mike at family get-togethers, hears tales of Mike making the kids laugh, and he knows that the position he formerly had has been permanently transferred to someone else. It remains to be seen if it encourages him to attempt to mend those ties or drives him farther away. The timing of all of this is also important. At the same time that concerns about the future of the monarchy are growing, we are learning about Mike's significance to George. Compared to earlier generations, younger people have less interest in the royals. The institution's continued relevance is a topic of continuous discussion. It becomes essential in this situation to demonstrate that the royal family can be both conventional and approachable, responsible and enjoyable. Mike Tindall embodies such harmony in a way that seems sincere and long-lasting. There is more to this narrative than just who plays with whom at family get-togethers, which makes it significant. It has to do with repercussions, loyalty, trust, and the destiny of the British monarchy. It's about what happens when someone disobeys the unspoken norms and someone else steps forward to take their place. Mike Tindall has replaced Harry as the entertaining uncle. Additionally, Mike's position may grow much more formal and significant in the years to come if King Charles gets his way. What do you think, then? Is Mike Tindall the best person to help Prince George overcome the obstacles that lie ahead? Did Harry cause this by disclosing too much information in public, or was his exclusion from the family too severe? Should King Charles give Mike a title or formal position to make his role more official? Please share your opinions in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this significant change in royal dynamics? Additionally, subscribe to Royals Explored today and enable those notifications if you want to stay up to date on all significant royal news, discoveries, and developments. We'll be here to explain everything as the royal story continues to develop.